All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about what Derrick James, the trainer of Errol Spence Jr., had to say about Terence Crawford and his fight with Errol Spence Jr. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are a lot of people that are about to eat a bunch of crow. But let's do that. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Man, we are back at the 147-pound division. I am absolutely ecstatic to be doing this video because I really truly believe in not too long at all, they are going to announce the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. And I'm telling you that because of an interview with Derrick James and the tone that Derrick James had and the way that he answered questions regarding that fight. But in talking about it, he basically laid out what I've been saying for a while about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. and how the fight will actually play out. Now, before I get into that, though, into the main portion of the conversation, let me welcome you guys again back to the channel. Thank you so much for your continued support for the channel, chopping it up with me about boxing every day in the live streams and in the videos that we release. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do pretty much on a daily basis. Well, actually on a daily basis, and live streams we do on a daily basis. We out here grinding, putting in the work, talking this boxing. All right. So first, I'm going to talk about two things. One is what Derrick James said about the actual fight with Terence Crawford. And two, why I think this fight is done. All right. First and foremost, Derrick James was being interviewed ahead of a fight that he has coming up this weekend in San Antonio, Texas, where his lightweight contender or prospect, I don't know if I would call him a prospect or call him a contender, Frank Martin, will be fighting Jackson Marinez on the undercard of the Mark Magsayo Got a Gift to Get That Belt. I should call him Mark I Got a Gift to Get the Belt Magsayo, and Ray Vargas, who is more than likely going to be taking that belt up off of him this weekend in San Antonio. Now, Derrick James was asked about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, and he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, what people keep talking about with certain people moving, and he talked about the Yordenis Ugas fight, right? He said, look, the reason why Yordenis Ugas could not move on Errol Spence Jr. and stayed right in front of him is because Errol Spence Jr. made him stay right in front of him. He could not get away from Errol, and he had to fight that fight because that fight was going to take place at the space that Errol Spence Jr. wants. He also said, and he got a little animated with it. And again, I'm telling you, this is what I'm reading into what he said, but I'm confident enough to put some money on it that he is definitely talking about Terence Crawford and saying, look, and that goes for anybody else that Errol Spence Jr. is going to fight, that Errol Spence Jr., you are going to fight Errol Spence Jr. right where Errol Spence Jr. says he's going to fight. You're going to fight him because he is going to cut that ring off on you and is going to make you be there and make you fight. And he is clearly talking about Terence Crawford because who else is there to be talking about in a fight with Errol Spence Jr. right now other than that? He also, now this is where I'm saying, but before I get into the second part, this is why I say that I agree with that. If you look at how Errol Spence Jr. has fought everyone, that is exactly what has happened. Sean Porter is somebody that can definitely fight from the outside and can box on the outside when he wants to. He did that against Yordenis Ugas. He was not right there, to be forced to throw and slug with Yordenis Ugas. Sean Porter is somebody that's athletic, that can move very, very well. However, Errol Spence Jr., because of his ability to cut off the ring, and I believe his athleticism And foot speed always kept that fight right there where he wanted to it and made Sean Porter fight in the style that Errol Spence Jr. wanted to fight. Now, when he fought Mikey Garcia, and he may not have been all the way up to snuff in that fight with physical conditioning or what have you. Errol Spence Jr. fought at a space where he wanted to be. When he wanted to fight, when he wanted to be close enough to engage with Mikey Garcia, he was there. As soon as he didn't want to be there, he wasn't. And during the times that he didn't want to be there were towards the end of the rounds, where Mikey Garcia was more than likely plotting to throw a flurry of punches at the end of the round to try to impress the judges and steal the round. After Errol beat him up for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the end of the round, close to the end of the round came, and Mikey Garcia started like he wanted to engage. Errol Spence Jr. just kept that distance where he wanted to, and that's probably one of the best things about Errol in that regard. Now, at the same time, Derrick James did talk about what he thought were the challenges with Terence Crawford. And the challenges that he said was, look, the foot speed, basically said, look, the athleticism and the foot speed and all that, doesn't think that's going to be a problem. People are not going to be moving on all over the place. He said his hand speed, though, Terence Crawford's hand speed, that could be trouble because Terence Crawford has very, very good hand speed. So it's going to be a very, very tough challenge for that fight, but they're up to the challenge. Now, why do I think that this fight is almost done? Several reasons, I think that it's actually done. The way that they are talking about it. Now, yesterday, Brian Custer was interviewing, who was he interviewing? Might have been, he was interviewing Shakur Stevenson. And he said in an interview, now that we know that the Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fight is going to happen this fall, what do you think? Now, at first, I didn't really, put too much into that. But now listening to Derrick James's, the way he asked those questions, Derrick James answered those questions as if that fight was going to happen, not maybe it will happen. Because he said, look, man, it doesn't bother. He was asked, does it bother you that you keep getting asked a lot of questions about the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight? And he said, no, man, that's pretty much what everybody wants to talk about. Back before, when it wasn't something that looked like it was going to happen or wasn't very, very realistic, then yeah, I didn't really want to answer the question. But he's like, now that it's like it could be a real thing, I don't mind talking about it and doing that at all. I'm telling you, and this is not a sources thing. This is just reading that guy's body language. I've watched a lot of interviews with Derrick James. I'm telling you, Errol Spence Jr. hasn't been saying anything. People that said Mike Coppinger and Mike Coppinger's sources were wrong. Now, they may have been wrong about the date, and maybe they're wrong about the location. Can't speak on that. But whether or not that fight is actually going to take place or not, I'm telling you, people are going to wind up eating crow when that fight gets made. And a lot of people that say they have inside sources that got ridiculed, that where it was fashionable to ridicule them. It's funny how when the fight actually gets announced and these things actually come to fruition, that people forget to apologize to the people that said it was going to happen in the first place when it looked like it may be in doubt for a second or didn't happen exactly how and when their sources said it would. But all in all, it's going to be really interesting. I'm certainly hope that I'm right about this. And with that, let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.